I learned from a great college coach, Mark Schwab. He used to be the assistant coach at Northern Iowa, also at the University of Minnesota. He helped my son quite a bit, my son's last couple years of high school wrestling. He taught this: simplicity in competition, complexity in practice. Practice is not a time to stay where you're at. Competition is not a time for complex thinking, complex game plans, a complicated approach to wrestling. In a competition, I'm only there to win and go home. That's it. If the win is fancy, great. If it's a pin, great. If I crush a home run, great. Hitting singles and doubles is how I'm going to make my living in baseball, and that's how you should approach wrestling. Win the match, go home, right? Get the legs, ride, get off bottom, go home. Simple. My thoughts are simple. My wrestling approach is simple. We don't want to be complicated, right? We don't want to overthink, overanalyze. Now, after the match, then you can break it down and you can sort of get more scientific. Because obviously, if you want to get into a state where it was called the flow state, right, where the match happens. In baseball, the bat swings itself. A baseball home run hitter doesn't remember swinging the bat. All he remembers is, like, I guess, the sound of the bat, the big noise, and he takes off running. It literally happens on its own. You don't have time. Your brain doesn't have time to think about hitting the baseball. It's proven, right? It's instinctive. So your eyeballs stare at the ball and your instincts take over. Your instincts can't take over if you're complex, whether you're in baseball or wrestling or anything else. That's the reason a coach or a parent who rattles their kid by pointing out 32 different instructional directions, they're really ruining their kids' chances of ever getting into a state where they can flow, right? Because your subconscious has to do the wrestling. Now, I'm going to be very conscious when I'm watching the match that night on the way home. The next day in practice, I watch the match. I take my notes. I say, okay, here's where I could have squared up my hips harder. Maybe when I was arching on my sprawl, I should have arched higher here. When my opponent knee slid under, I should have, V-blocked and pushed the knees. I was pushing too high on the thighs where they're strong. I need to push the knees. Be in the match, I'm just trying to get around them. So that's the reason I always say this. The best coach at a tournament is the mom in the stands who's saying, throw him down, son. Get the legs. Hold him down. Roll him over. That's the best coach, because it's simple. I tell my kids, hey, take down, ride them out, get off bottom, hold them down on top. Let's win the match and get out of here. Nothing fancy. Let's just win. Right? Sometimes kids say, I'm nervous about the match. I'm like, hey, this is this. They're going to try to get your legs. They're going to try to hold you down, probably with a tight waist. They're going to try to stand up on bottom. And you're going to do the same thing. In baseball, they throw the ball, I hit it. Then I run. And they try to throw me out. Then we throw the ball, they hit it, they run, and we try to throw them out. Whoever does that wins. This is simple, right? So I take this approach. It's really been tremendous. I've been doing it for years, but I never really coined it like Mark Schwab, who's just a tremendous coach, one of the best I've been around. Simplicity in competition, complexity in practice. Now that also goes to trying stuff, right? You don't try stuff in a match, all right? It's a state tournament. Win the match, go home, right? Last year before the NCAA finals, the Iowa coach, Terry Brands, told his wrestler, Spencer Lee, who won the national title, he shook his hand before the match and said, go win, right? That's the advice. That's simple coaching advice. Go win, right? He didn't say, now hold this elbow 3 seconds and then push it in. And then when your opponent circles left 6 inches, then you can try this move. And if this is not there, you can try that move, right? We don't want to do all that. Now, complexity in practice can be trying moves, trying technique. You might say, I'm going to force my underhook. I'm going to force my inside trip. I really got to start, working on my low single leg, expanding my horizons a little bit. And you want to, if it doesn't work, grab an easy partner. So we're really big on grabbing easy partners and also middle partners and partners who are better than us. So when I grab the easy partner, that's when I work my stuff. And I'll try to work my stuff on everybody, right? But you're like, I need to hit a few more reps on these easier guys. Maybe by Friday, I'm going to grab Jonathan and see if I can get my low single leg going on him. So I'm working my way up, right? So practice time is a time to try stuff. Not every practice. Some practices I'm wrestling like I would in competition. I'm practicing winning, right? So not every practice you're just trying stuff. So you work this stuff in when you're going to practice, or maybe the night before. A lot of us plan our meals for the next day. I plan my to-do list for the next day. You might plan your practice session for the next day. You're like, okay, tomorrow night when I'm in practice, I'm going to make sure I do this and this and this and that, right? And these are my partners I'm going to pick. This is what I'm going to try to positions I'm going to try to evolve from, because I'm really close to having a great underhook throw by, but I'm just missing it, right? So that's what we mean by complexity in practice, but it's not every practice all the time. But probably two practices a week, 3 practices a week against one partner. We're trying stuff, right? There might be specific partners I do and specific ones that I don't. But that's a pretty good phrase. So simplicity in competition with your thoughts and your wrestling and your game planning, and practice complexity, scientist, evaluate, push the envelope, try stuff, evolve, force yourself to improve. Good luck. Check us out at purlerwrestling.com. You can check out Mark Schwab too online. He's the man.